I guess we'll call this, what, a snare trick, or gating trick with stock plugins. You get your snare sounding the way you want. There's a lot of top end, a little bit of bottom. I also don't care if it's clipping on this. Doesn't really matter to me that much, unless it's like something I can, if it's causing some sort of distortion that sucks. To me, that snare is bright enough now where I could probably put it in the mix. What you will do next is you will duplicate this snare track, which I have already done here, but I'll do it again just for the sake of doing it. So we duplicate this. Everything, yes. Now, let's move this down. Put a stock compressor on. Not that one. Stock compressor. Attack time as fast as it'll go. Release as fast as it'll go. Ratio as high as it'll go. You're basically wanting to create a limiter, but I found that when you throw a limiter on here, it doesn't do it as well. Now, we take another EQ, high pass this up to maybe like 700 or something. And flip the phase on it. You guys got that? So take your original track, insert a compressor before your EQs that you've copied from your original track. Then at the end of your chain, you're going to high pass it and flip the phase. Now, when you combine that, essentially what you're doing now is phase canceling all of the top end, and then every time your snare hits, it ducks for a hot second, causing that phase canceled signal to duck, which no longer phase cancels your top end.
Awesome trick.
Essentially doing this trick.
They like this one.
Cool. Now, everybody knows the multiband trick, right? Like the Fab Filter one?
I would think so at this point.
So here,
Nelly did it.
here is why I think this way is better. And I guess you can really hear it on toms. But when I just feel like this plugin is not fast enough for me. So if you listen to the top end, I just gotta make these plugins smaller. So if you listen to the top end of when this Fab Filter gate opens, it kind of has a hang time to it, like a sh, 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 which I find a little bit annoying.
Yep.
I think this version with the inverted phase is way more natural sounding. And now I've done the, okay, so now, something to pay attention with this trick though. That is how you get it. It is important to note that the relationship between the phase canceled one and the phase canceled high pass track and the original track directly affects the amount of cymbal reduction that you have. So you could use this creatively if you wanted to bring in some extra cymbal bleed, or if you feel like this is just too much, or if it sounds too weird. So I'll play with the volume of this, and you can kind of get an idea of how you can see how it's working.
That's really clean.
That all right?
It's pretty good.
That, to me, sounds a little cleaner than... that extra little rattiness on top that I don't love. So what I've done is, once you get to that point, I would recommend that you create a bus to send these to and print those to a new track. And a little note, you'll probably have to duck those by a little bit, because when you're combining two tracks,
Coming in pretty hot.
You're
yeah.
using the stock plugins so that you make sure there's no latency.
No, I'm using the stock plugins so that anyone can do it with any DAW. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is you don't have to buy expensive plugins to do this. You can do it with stock stuff. You can do this in Logic, you can do it in Cubase. It's just a very simple trick with whatever stock. The only requirement is that you have to have a very fast compressor. But I find that all the stock ones are super fast.
Yeah, they are.
And like no character. You don't really want any character to this. You want it as an extreme, just utilitarian thing. But like the Fab Filter like limiters and stuff. Actually, you know what? I've never tried it with that. Is it okay if I try it? Oh yeah, so, well, before I do that, printing it in, boom. But I've already done the honor of doing that. And then once you get that, obviously you know what happens next. So now you can add in all the top end you want, and that's not there. But I just feel like the top end, once you hear it in the mix, is way cleaner than this kind of ratty thing that happens. That gate open to me is just, I don't know, I don't love that.